Brock Sunderland, and I'm the Assistant General Manager of the Ottawa Redblacks.
Now, we received some word just yesterday through the Missoulian newspaper that you have signed a pretty important guy out of Montana. Of course, that's our former quarterback, Jordan Johnson. So tell me about how all that went down.
Well, Jordan's someone that I'm well aware of. I think the first time I saw Jordan play live was in 2011 against Weber State, and it just happened to be a game where I believe it's still a school record, tied for it, where he threw for 6 touchdowns. So, having been a former Grizzly myself, I'm always pretty dialed into how the team's doing and who's playing for him. So I've had a long history of knowing who he is and his talent level. And we had him on our negotiations list since June of 2013. And what that is in the CFL is a way for us to own a player's rights who is not a Canadian. So we've been aware of Jordan for quite a while, and his agent, who's based at Helena, Montana, Chris Giddings, and I have a long history, and I reached out to Chris and basically just said, hey, I think he's a guy to come up here and play pretty well for us. Would he have an interest?
Well, now tell me what it was specifically about Jordan that really attracted you, that you thought would be great to play in the CFL.
Well, I think in a word, he's a playmaker. He can throw the ball. He can extend plays with his legs. He's played in multiple offenses there. In 2011, it was more of a spread zone read, and he showed he can beat teams with his legs. He can also throw the ball, as evidenced by the Weber State game. The past couple of years, it's been more of a pro-style-based offense, and he's been highly productive at that as well. So when you add all those ingredients, a player that throws really well and can beat teams with his legs, is very cerebral and talking with some of the coaches there. He's a smart quarterback who can make in-game adjustments. So he has all the ingredients to be successful at the next level.
Well, I know that, just having been here at Montana for his entire career, I know he went through a really rough patch and some troubles, and came through pretty much with flying colors. And was it something about his character that you really that attracted you as well?
Well, it does. I spoke with administrators, current coaches, past coaches, equipment staff, training staff, even a couple of professors, current teammates and former teammates, and everybody spoke very glowingly about Jordan.
Okay. Now, as he comes in as a rookie, I'm unfamiliar with the CFL procedure. Would he be playing right away, or how would that work?
Well, it depends on how he plays in camp. We have an incumbent player up here by the name of Henry Burris, who has been a long-time starter in this league, so he'll enter camp as a starter, but we're like every other pro team. The best players play, and so he'll have an opportunity to get up here and show what he can do.
How does, for those who are not familiar, how does the CFL differ from say, a traditional college football or the NFL here in the States?
Well, the biggest thing is it's 3 downs as opposed to 4. There's 12 players on each side as opposed to 11. The field's bigger. It's 110 yards long with 20-yard end zones. It's wider. It's 65 yards wide. Those are the main differences that everyone knows. The other big difference for us is how we build our roster. On a 44-man active roster, 21 of those players have to be Canadian. So about 50% of our roster are Canadians, and it's called the ratio. Of those 21, 7 have to start. So a lot of times an American is only competing against another American for a roster spot, not every player at that specific position. So there's little intricacies that make this game and building rosters up here actually more difficult than an NFL roster or a college roster.
So as you look at what's going to be happening, tell me about the name change with your organization. I understand that is something that's new as well.
Well, the organization, this is the 3rd time Ottawa's had a professional football team. It originated as the Rough Riders for years. When that organization folded, they came back in 2002 as the Renegades, and that organization folded in the spring of 2006, and then us as the Redblacks came back our first year last year, and our partners wanted to tie a little bit of the history to the new organization, and the colors have always been red and black. The R has a long-standing history up here. It's very synonymous with the team, similar to what the C for the Bears helmet would be. So they wanted it to be an R name, And I believe the story goes one of the owners threw it out there, and everybody liked it and just ran with it.
Fantastic. So tell me about the season. When does it run? When does the CFL season run?
We go to training camp in late May, and our preseason games and the regular season games start in June. And then the Grey Cup traditionally is the last Sunday of November. So it's a long season. There are 18 games in the regular season, 2 preseason games. So every team is going to have 20 games no matter what.
Wow, that's a lot of playing. That's awesome. Now, of course, you guys already
rookies have.
Yeah, you guys already have or have had, I should say, one of the very best that Montana's ever produced, Dave Dickinson, and he has done supremely well at the CFL.
Yeah, Dave's done a great job, and it's no surprise. I'm a Great Falls guy myself, so I've seen Dave, do what he did at CMR, then at the university, and then in Calgary. So he seems to be a guy that's successful everywhere he stops. So it's no surprise. And if we can't win it, I'm happy for Dave because he's a good person first and foremost, but a wealth of football knowledge as well.
You bet. Well, Brock, any final thoughts for our listeners? I know on KGVO, the voice of the Grizz. Any final notes that you have about Jordan Johnson and his chances in the CFL?
I just think we're getting a very exciting player. Like I said, he did a lot of dynamic things at Montana. He won a lot of football games, and the first thing you look at as a quarterback is wins losses, and he certainly checks the box there. He has good height. He's athletic. He has a very good arm talent. What I mean by that is he can drive the ball with velocity and fit it into tight windows. He also has the ability to feather it with touch. And he has the cerebral ability to understand when to do both and good pocket presence. So, again, as I mentioned earlier, with all those ingredients, we're excited. We're very hopeful. And as he gets up here and acclimates to this style of game and this league, we're hoping big things are ahead of him, both for him personally and for us as an organization.